So, okay, I made a post about, how I'm gonna raise my kids, right? And in that video, I basically was saying how, I'm gonna let them do stupid shit. I'm gonna let them break their leg. I will let them smoke and drink as long as, they do it at the house. I'm gonna expect them, or I'm gonna raise them to be independent, stuff like that. Because that's how I was raised. So I believe that a parent should raise their children uh, better than they were raised in a way. Now, if both of my parents grew up in abusive households, right? My father was getting his ass whooped by his dad, drunk as hell, back in Vermont. My mom was actually, she got hit the least, I would say. But her father was, well, I mean, he fought in 3 wars. He was Filipino, like a black ass Filipino in technically America after they annexed it and such. And we all know how America was in the 40s and 50s and 60s and so on. But, my mother raised me exactly how I told y'all, right? Now, my father didn't believe in hitting me, and I made a joke that, my dad's white, so he doesn't hit me. That's a stereotype where I grew up, or for all the places that I've grown up. So if that really offended people, my bad. That's all everywhere I've ever lived, because both my parents were military. Everywhere we lived, no white person would lay their hands on their child. That's just where I was from all the 20 states I've lived in. So, some people saying, well, I'm white and I got beat, and, I'd be talking to them like, okay, what'd your dad do? Like, oh, he came home drunk and whooped me. I was like, that's not discipline. But, I think you should raise your kids better than how you were raised, but I also think, at times reward them, at times punish them. But the reason I'm making this video is, one, because I don't really have much to talk about. But two, someone tried to tell me I'm a piece of shit father, or I'm going to be a piece of shit father because of how I'm going to raise my kids. And I said, okay, how? And he says, oh, well, you should never lay your hand on your child. You should never let your kids do something that could put their life or health in risk, or in danger, or at risk, my fault. That I shouldn't raise my children to be able to take care of themselves without me in the picture. I want you to think about that just for a second. Just think about it. I'm not going to say nothing. Done? Basically, I can't raise my children to be able to take care of themselves. I'm trying to think of how to word that so then it makes sense, because it just doesn't make sense at all. You're telling me I can't raise my kids to be able to look after themselves after I pass, or after even they move out the house. I mean, obviously, if my kids are struggling and shit and they can't make it out, then come back home. But to tell me that I'm raising my kids wrong because I'm teaching them to be independent. Really? What the fuck? So now it's just like, I asked him, do you have any kids? He said no. So then he's going to tell me I'm a piece of shit father and he doesn't even have experience. So I'm like, okay, how would you raise your kids? Let's talk about that. And he says, well, honestly, it's the parents' job and their obligation and their inclination to be there for the children no matter what. And I was like, yeah, so supporting them. And then he was like, oh, well, I meant it like you should pay for literally everything that they need to do. And I was like, pay for what? Like when they turn 18, like when they turn 20, when they pay like house bills when they buy a house, when they turn 30, you want me to pay for every single thing until they die. And he was like, well, yeah, that's the parent's job. Now, I am sorry, but no, it is not. It is not. No, it is not. I don't care who you are. I'm not going to tell you that it's your job to pay for every cent of your child's or children's anything. Like their first car, absolutely, I'll buy that, of course. I'm going to make sure I pay the insurance. When it's their first time buys for things like a car, I will take care of that. Because with me, they're going to be 16, for where I'm at, you have to be 15 and a half to have a permit, 16 to get a license. If their grades are up, like, they get a car or a truck, probably a truck, because that's who I am, or whatever. If their grades show, okay, I don't see nothing wrong with rewarding them for doing good, but I'm like, okay, then what do you want to do for them when you die? Let's talk about that, because average, you'll live till 80. Your kids, they'll probably be, depending on when you have kids, 60 or 50. So by then, they'll probably have kids as well. And in many cases, they'll probably be like new grandparents, at least where I'm from, where I live at. But then you're going to say, or then he was saying how, oh, well, then you need to make sure that no matter how many kids you have like what do you say, a trust fund? Is that what it is? Is that what you guys call it? Where after you die, they get, like, not your net worth, right? Not that. When you die, your net worth is supposed to be distributed to whoever you put it to in your will. Like when my mom and my dad pass, that wealth will be, or that net worth will be distributed among the kids, right? That's okay. But he said, no, you should get bank accounts for all of your children and put an amount in there every, I think he said month, to make sure that they're set for the rest of their life. So I'm sorry, but I don't care how you're going to raise your kids. I really don't, because you're not my spouse. You're not the mother of my kids. I'm not the father of your kids. I'm not going to tell you how to raise your kids, but I can definitely tell you how not to raise your kids. And people are like, oh, and there are people who are like, oh, well, what's the matter with me raising my children like that? What's the matter with me being the parent that I'm supposed to be, that you'll never be good enough to be? Oh, what's the matter with me paying for every single thing for them? Like I said, I was raised to be independent, to get my own money, to make sure that I can look after myself. If you're going to do that for your kids, and you're going to force them to only take your help and only take your money, then they're not going to want to work. They're not going to want to go out and do anything. They're literally spoiled. And a lot of spoiled kids I can't handle. I'm sorry, I can't. I was raised the opposite. If I wanted it, I had to get it. But I'm just like, how are you going to tell me that my parenting is wrong and you don't even have any kids? And I asked him, okay, is that how you were raised? And he said, yeah, and it's pretty good because I don't have to worry about making any money or having to work or hurt my back or have tired eyes or be sore. And when him and I were talking, like, I don't even know why I was wasting time with him, but when we were going back and forth, it was clear that we weren't going to see any middle ground with each other. So honestly, in the comments, I don't care if you disagree with me. That's totally fine. You're entitled to your own opinion. I'm not going to say that you have to think like me. We're different people. Everyone is different. But put in the comments, who you think would raise a little bit more successful children. Like, to me, the way he's describing it, his kids are not gonna be shit. And I'm like, okay, think of it this way. With me working, whatever I was gonna do, if I wanted to put money in their bank accounts for whatever, you know, because yeah, I will do that. I'll make sure there's like a couple thousand, couple tens of thousands in their bank account, and when they're like 23 or I'll check for whenever they go to college, they can use it for that, or they can use it for their bills or whatever. I will do that, but I'm not gonna pay for every single thing that they do, okay? That's not what I'm here to do. No, I'm here to teach you how to handle yourself. So, I'm gonna leave you guys with that, but it's just, how can you tell me that I'm wrong when you're not even in the predicament of having any kids either? Like, what? And he was like, well, and using his logic, you're only supposed to live off of the money that your parents give you, correct? That's what he said. Then, with that same mindset, he's going to give money to his children from his parents. And you can see how that's going to go down. Like, oh my God, I don't know. Just leave in the comments. Let me know. I love y'all.